Okay, so what we're going to be drawing today is a dragon's eye, which is going to teach us how to draw texture as well as value, which if you remember from class, that's shading. So we use shading to create value. So the materials I'm working with for this project are just a regular old-fashioned pencil. Remember, we don't ever want to shade with the mechanical pencils. I have a mechanical pencil here just because I feel like it. I don't even know if I'll use it, but it's here. Probably won't use it. So I have a good old school pencil. And then I have what is called an ebony pencil. Now, the difference between an ebony pencil and your regular drawing pencil is how dark it gets. So, the perfect example to use. If you look here, I'm going to shade as hard as I can on this, okay? As hard as it'll go. So it's still kind of like gray. Put this right up next to it. That is way darker. I don't know if that'll register on the camera or not, but you can see this one is your ebony, so it's going to get much darker, and this one is just your regular old-fashioned pencil. So when you first start drawing, you are definitely not going to want to use your ebony, because watch what happens if I make a mark on this and then I try to erase it. Look at that. It is not going anywhere. So if you do that and you start drawing away and you make a bunch of marks here, you're not getting rid of it. You're going to have to completely restart. So see, I'm erasing as hard as I can, and that's all it's going to get. Even with the regular pencil, if I draw, that's as hard as the mark it'll make. See, I mean, it's gone somewhat, but it's still there. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but it's still there. So whenever you're starting to draw something, you're going to want to use light strokes. So like, let's say I'm drawing like that, okay? If I make a mistake and I want to erase that, almost entirely goes away. Almost entirely goes away. So that's going to save you a lot of time and a lot of paper. So that's a plus. So let's go ahead and get started drawing. What we're going to do first is we're going to draw a circle. Now, a lot of us, when we make circles, you think, does that show up what I'm drawing?
Mm-hmm.
Am I drawing too light, or can you see it?
Do a little bit darker, just a little.
I can't do it darker, or else it'll ruin the drawing.
Oh, I can see it.
You can see it, okay. So, a lot of us when we're drawing, what we do is we have a tendency to want to grab a circular object and trace and make a perfect circle. In life, you are not going to see perfect shapes or perfect circles almost anywhere except for maybe some man-made objects like buildings, things like that. But pretty much if you're drawing anything in nature, whether it be animals, flowers, trees, anything like that that already exists in nature, you are not going to want to use tracing shapes because there are no such thing as perfect shapes in nature. So that's pretty good. Not a perfect circle, but that is okay because it doesn't need to be. So that'll work for my eye. Okay. The next thing that I'm going to do is, as you can see, I've drawn really light. I'm not going to go around and go and draw a real dark line. I'm not going to do that. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to draw the pupil. So, I mean, your pupil can be just about any shape you want. I'm going to do like a diamond shape here. So, it's kind of a nice diamond. You can see I'm still drawing light. I'm drawing sketchy. Not perfect, but that will work. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to begin to draw the eyelid that goes around the eye, because it's not, you know, the skin won't be obvious around here. The skin will fold over just like on a human. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to start to look. So the eyelid would come kind of like that over it. Come kind of like that. Would clip part of the bottom of that eye. And it will come around here. Okay, so that's kind of a little bit more hooded. I still think this side's a little bit too much. So I'm gonna draw my eyelid over that a little bit. Now my lines are super messy, right? That is okay. That is totally fine for this stage of the project. I don't want perfect lines. I am just figuring out basically where everything goes. What I don't want to do at this stage that a lot of you want to do is come in here and like shade this whole thing perfect. Because what if I go through and I realize, that's not quite right. It's too big, it's too small, it's a little off. it's not too late to erase it and change it. If I go in and shade that whole thing black, it's too late, you can't change it. So you always want to stay kind of sketchy, don't overdraw it yet. So I'm gonna kind of come in here. There, I think I'm gonna want my dragon to have some spikes by his eye. So put those in there. Now, if you notice, I'm also not creating any value or texture yet. No value or texture yet. And that is on purpose. But that will come in and really bring this thing to life, because right now, this does not look realistic at all. And that is totally fine. So the next thing I'm gonna start to do is I'm gonna say, okay, I like the eye at this point. I like that shape, I think. So what I'm gonna do next is I am going to come in and I'm gonna start going dark. So I'm gonna start adding some value here to begin to make this thing come alive. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I am going to, this shape still bothers me a little bit. I might like that better. Okay. So the next thing I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna lay my pencil. Remember, when you're shading, you don't wanna hold it at the tip and shade like that. You wanna hold it at the end of your pencil, okay? Hold it on its side like this and shade like this. This allows me to, for one thing, get much smoother texture. You can see much smoother shading. The other thing this allows me to do is work much, much faster because I'm covering so much area at a time. Now, the other thing that's important to remember when you're drawing is your full value range. Now, we've talked about this in class, but I'm gonna go over it again. The full value range means you have your darkest dark to the white of your paper showing. So on this dragon's eye, where it's gonna be the darkest is under the crease here, it'll be black, and on the pupil. So that'll be two of the darkest areas. So right here, I'm gonna switch. Wow, big difference. I'll come in here. I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna just deepen that tone so I have a really nice shadow showing underneath here. Blend it down. I'm lightening my pressure. I'm not pushing down as hard here. Just lightening up the pressure on it. Okay. Keep turning it. Come around. Deepening that color shadow. Okay. So trees. So you start dark, you let it fade. Also, you want it to go in a radial motion, meaning that you have them going in like a circle. So. Now, you're not limited here to just do this. What if you did trees in the eyeball reflection? Or another animal? I mean, the sky's the limit. Heck, you could do the sky. The sky is the limit on what you could have reflected in the eye. I just wasn't being all that creative, obviously, and just went straight for the boring old regular pupil. But if you want to be fancy, I think it would be super cool to have something else reflected. Remember, this is more of a fantasy piece, so it doesn't have to be something that would even exist in real life. So I'm going to lighten up those lines with a little bit of shade. Now notice, now I'm not shading in circles. Now I'm shading in the motion that goes with those lines. Say hi. Say hi. Say hello.
You can't see her.
Can you see her now?
Yeah, you can see her now.
Say hello. Why don't you draw me? I'm adorable. I'm a model. I should be a model. I'm beautiful. Okay, next time, students.